Welcome back to TeamSCG coverage of Pro Tour Theros here in Dublin, Ireland. I am Reuben Bresler, and at the end of day one, two players had 8-0 undefeated records, and here at the end of day two, both of those players are going to be able to make it into the top 8. I am joined by TeamSCG's Paul Rietzl and Sam Black. Boys, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, excellent. Very impressive. I'm sure it's a relief to be able to end day one on such a high note, but still be able to make the top 8. It's not 100% that you're going to be able to do that.
Yeah, I mean, as I said when we did the day one wrap, I said it's a good start, and I tweeted also, but there's a lot left to do. You know what I mean?
That's still the case, though.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's a lot of business left to remain. I mean, as Sam knows, when you're against the field like the day two field of the best players in the world, I mean, still needing to go have a winning record. There's a lot of business.
Whenever I picked up a loss, you're like, this is I might not make this. This is gonna be tough.
Yeah, absolutely. 3 losses is pretty much the bottom. If you get to 4, you're out.
Yeah.
And there's only 3 rounds in a draft,
right.
And you had to start the day off in draft. Both of you had pretty decent records in draft. Talk to me a little bit about your limited preparation. I know you went 5-1, you went 4-2. Talk to me a little bit about how your drafts went.
Do you want to take it?
The preparation or the drafts in the tournament?
Well, both. Okay, so talk to me, I guess, start off with the drafts in the tournament.
Well, the first draft just went absolutely perfectly at all points, starting with opening Elspeth, and then white was just completely open. I got past late favorite Hoplite and battle wise Hoplite, and then an 8th pick Wingsteed Rider in pack 3, and I had a bunch of bestow guys and just really the dream deck.
Sure.
And then in the second draft, things started off. I was well positioned, but my cards weren't as powerful. I first picked a Grip Tide over a Sylvan Caryatid in a much weaker pack than the one that had Elspeth. And then my second pick was just a Vaporkin to stay on color out of a pack that didn't really have anything that caught my attention somewhere else. And then third pick, just stay on color again with a Voyage's End. And then fourth pick, Prophet of Krufix. Possibly the best rare in the set.
Right, and this was a theme for your draft. You had 2, right, by the end of the draft?
Yeah, in pack 3 I got past another one. And so getting past a 4th pick, Prophet of Krufix, to me was a strong signal that I could safely solidify myself in blue-green. And then when I got past a Horizon Shimmer that Paul had opened after that, it's okay, this is just where I am. And then I think I got an Agent of Horizons after that, and just from there it was just very clear that I was the colors that my seat wanted me to be, and I just happened to have been them from the beginning of the draft. So it was just a really, really smooth draft again, where I didn't have to move at all or figure out where I wanted to be. I had 3 cards in my pool that were not my colors, that were 14th picks.
So that you were able to put together a solid 2-1, a good way to start the day. You 3-0'd yesterday, but today you got a little bit of a rocky start. If you were the 1 seat, you were the 5. You were directly across from each other. You put together a 1-2 to start the day, and things were a little bit hairy from there.
Yeah, well, I mean, yesterday I opened a blue card and the white-black rare, the Triad of Fates, and took the blue card and then was past Prophet of Krufix and just settled straight into blue-green and drafted a very easy 3-0 deck, mostly fueled by what I think is probably the best rare in the set that I couldn't believe people don't know. And then this morning I opened up Polis Crusher out of a pretty strong pack, and thinking back to the meeting we had at the house about the rares and the mythics, I think Polis Crusher was the weakest card that you slam, basically. You know what I mean? It was anything weaker than that, and you consider taking a non-color uncommon or a common. Yep. Polis Crusher is just a little too good to just slam, and things went south pretty quickly, and I cobbled together what I thought was a pretty strong red-green deck. Unfortunately, red-green is one of the worst archetypes. And after Sam beat me in a pretty close 3-game match.
First 2 at least for.
Yeah, I was crushed by Lukas Chiklovsky, and then it was in the awkward situation of praying to play John Finkel, because the other option was to play against Makihito Mahara, perhaps the best limited deck that ever got put together. I think he probably ended up 3-0ing the pod, I would imagine, and that would have pretty much ended my day just before it got started. So I was very happy to salvage a 1-2 by getting very lucky to beat John.
Yeah, excellent. Both of them fueled by profit of Crewfix, and we're gonna. If you want to watch Paul's draft this morning, then you can view that on the main page, and there's going to be a discussion between all of TeamSCG that you guys had at the castle. That'll go up on StarCityGames.com sometime in the next week or two.
Yeah, probably the highest level limited discussion that I've ever been a part of or seen.
Yeah, highly recommend watching
that. Absolutely a fabulous discussion. I was honored to be able to be there and be able to rotate the camera slightly to be able to catch all of the little things. So let's move on to Constructed. Two different decks, two Team SCG decks, both of which performed very admirably here at this Pro Tour. We're going to start with the talk of the tournament, or at least the talk of the coverage, which is the main Team SCG deck, which was the Mono Blue Devotion deck. Sam, you were playing that along with double-digit members of the team. Talk to me about why you decided to go with that deck, where you think it is positioned going forward in this top 8.
Well, it's hard to disagree with Kaijan and Nassif when they're all very confident in a deck. So that was a big factor in my deck choice. And then from there, it was just a matter of we knew that the deck had some really good matchups, and we knew that the deck had some matchups that would be a little harder. And most of our testing was just focusing on the matchups that we expected to be a little harder and trying to figure out just how bad they were and what we could do about it. And I really only saw the hard matchups. I wasn't really a part of verifying the good matchups. And from what I saw of the deck, seeing only hard matchups, the deck still looked very good and was still winning about half the time. And I was like, okay, if this is the bad side of this, count me in. So my testing was largely just after the period of time where I was working on other decks, mostly I was just watching other people play the deck and just being like, yeah, this is sweet. All right. Occasionally talking about plays and stuff, but mostly just seeing what other people were doing with it and seeing that it was powerful.
One of the most impressive things to me about the deck is how good it looks when it's winning. It does some very cool things, attack you, draw 4 cards with Bident, or
when you get Bident going,
cast your Nightveil Spectre spell with my Nykthos, or target my own Thassa with
cast my spell with your Nykthos that I took from your Nightveil Spectre.
That's cool too. So there's lots of really neat little interactions that you can do with the deck, and it looks great, and I'm sure it played great. We'll have the stats after the event, but obviously the day 1 stats are astronomical for Team SCG. Day 2, much tougher, still very good, and part of that is going to be Patrick Chapin and Paul Rietzl's deck, which was the black-white aggro mid-range good cards put together deck, sort of an Orzhov a theme deck, because Orzhov is just very good at everything, or thinks they're very good at everything. And you two put together some incredibly impressive performances. Pat playing for top 8, not able to get there. You obviously now in top 8. Talk to me about that deck.
Yeah, Patrick said that he had 30 cards that he wanted to play in the Pro Tour, and he wanted to know what 30 cards I wanted to play in the Pro Tour, and then we just mashed them together and we played a deck. It was funny. Every game I played, I had out all white creatures at the end of the game, and then my graveyard was all black cards that I would never normally play. The credit for the deck really goes to Patrick, and it was Patrick's idea, Patrick's baby. He was pushing it kind of the whole way. I am an absolutely renowned terrible deck builder. I have no instinct for how to put together decks or mana bases. One of my strengths, when it comes to decks, is tuning them. You know what I mean? Through repetition and figuring out, what cards are going to make sense. Kind of trying to envision how the matchup's going to go and visualize, what's going to be important. So when you had a deck that Patrick had, designed, that we were able to really just kind of zero in on and tune. We got to the point where not only did we have a really good deck playing a lot of good Magic cards, but we had 75 card plans against every single deck in the field, where we had our the makeup of the deck, the composition of the deck kind of set after sideboarding. We're really happy with the plan against everything. We liked the blue deck, but we liked this deck too, and it was really a gambit. We thought that there wouldn't be a lot of mono red, which was a horrendous matchup for us, and we thought that we actually matched up very favorably against almost everything else that was out there. And I don't know actually what the stats are on mono red, but we both seem to fade it pretty well in the rounds.
the most popular mono red deck was actually the mono red devotion deck. Mono red aggro with things like Fnatic of Mogus and Fire Drinker Satyr was not popular this Pro Tour.
Well, yeah.
The most popular deck was actually Esper Control.
Oh wow.
A deck that, in terms of day 1 numbers, I'm not sure how it fared on day 2 or going forward.
Sure.
But both matchups appear to be pretty good against Esper Control. So what would you think of as is that one of your strengths?
I don't think so. No, I think Esper is one of those matchups that we were testing when I was watching the deck, where it was, certainly harder. Like we're a creature deck, they have Supreme Verdict.
Sure.
But I feel like we have a plan. But certainly, I might have to play against Wafatapa tomorrow at some point in the top 8. He's playing Esper, and I'm sure he's playing it very well.
Sure.
So that could be rough.
Now, on your side of things, how do you feel about Esper?
It's certainly our best matchup, right? It's between Thoughtseize and Sin Collector and potentially Lightbane Zombie if they have Blood Baron and Read the Bones and Underworld connections. I mean, we're just an absolute, not to mention our own Blood Barons and Obsidian and all of these, and Planeswalkers if we want that. I mean, it's not to mention an aggressive start with Precinct Captain, which is a difficult threat to deal with. I mean, we have too many cards. We could play 65 of our 75 against Esper. So that's certainly a matchup that we're hoping to face. And honestly, like to an extent, we kind of misread the metagame because I was continually saying, or maybe I guess we didn't, because I didn't play against Esper, but I guess it actually worked out because there was a lot of Esper. I said that people are just going to play the Revelations and Jaces. People don't leave, the last Pro Tour was all Revelations and Jaces. It's not just going to be a complete paradigm shift in the way that people approach the format. I happened to not play against it, but I guess it worked out anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. So 2 successful decks, 2 successful finishes so far.
Yeah, a lot of work to do.
You guys have a lot of work to do, as you said, going forward. Should you two have to play each other, hopefully in the finals, have you guys tested your matchups? You don't have to tell the other one if you think it's favored, but you guys are teammates. I'm sure you guys figured it out.
Well, I played the matchup I think 5 times in the Pro Tour. So I've tested it now. I think it's extremely favorable for the black-white deck. There's certainly ways to lose, but we're just playing divinations and removal spells. Not to mention the fact that we can kind of get in under there are threats like Jace or Thassa. So there's many ways for things to go wrong, but it's certainly feel pretty good about that matchup.
Same, similar?
Well, like Paul, I tested the blue matchup a lot during the Pro Tour, but I didn't play against black-white at all.
Oh, sure, fair enough.
I don't know.
Fair enough. Well, very confident on that side of things, but again, we'll have to see going forward. I'm sure that, because I know that Patrick, I think one of Patrick's losses was to a mono blue devotion. He also beat it several times, but
I know that it's a matchup that can go either way, but I think that the black-white deck is somewhat favored.
Well, hopefully you guys won't have to face each other until the finals.
I certainly hope that.
A wonderful thing to have
just hand
happen.
out 2 trophies.
Yeah.
Excellent.
That'd be so good. So, Paul Rietzl, Sam Black, your top 8 competitors of Pro Tour Theros from Team Star City Games. Thank you for watching.
High five?
Yeah, sure. We get a high five. Let me get in on this. There we go. Excellent. All right. We'll be back tomorrow with more video coverage of Pro Tour Theros.
Okay.